Welcome to the World of Unapologetic Living, a space for those on the edge of becoming. I'm Sarah Grady, and I am here to walk you through life's sacred initiations, the moments that unravel who you've been so you can remember who you are. This is for the truth tellers, the cycle breakers, and quiet revolutionaries ready to live with nothing left to prove. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the podcast, y'all. I have had a crazy last couple weeks, and I know it's not only me. I have been up, I've been down. I find myself being in between sacred rage and sacred grief at the drop of a hat. And on the other side of both of those, my answer is to cry. I have cried more in the last 2 weeks than I think I have done in the last 5 years of my life, which is really saying something because the last 5 years were intentional growth with a lot of crying. But the last 2 weeks have been rough. They have been elevated, and it just feels like everything that I was not wanting to face came to the surface. And what's funny is I asked for that. I want to grow and I want to be my highest self. And I have all these beliefs within me that our thoughts create our reality. And yeah, I want to clean out the things that no longer serve. And then the experience comes in order to cleanse it. And that's where it's not always easy. And that's what this episode is about. It's about solidarity and just holding space for those who get it, for those that are on a path of growing and facing the shadows and the things that are inside them that a lot of society chooses to ignore or suppress and shove down and pretend like it doesn't exist. And then there's those of us that are like, no, we're done. We're done suppressing. We're done ignoring. And we're done shoving it down in the depths of us, never to be seen again. We are bringing our light to our shadows to heal the things that need to be healed, to free ourselves. And those that get it, I'm speaking to you. I can see into the heart and the pureness of every human on this planet. I have carried that gift since I was a kid. I was told many times how I was naive and I was too kind and any other thing that you could be told about how I needed to just, I don't know. I wasn't allowed to see into somebody's soul, I guess. I was supposed to shame and judge and condemn because how could I hold space for someone who did awful things or who fucked up like we all do? And yeah, some of us fuck up royally and do things that really, really harm others. And I don't like it. The human in me breaks for those that have those moments. And that's what the last 2 weeks have been about for me. I don't speak a lot about the world and what's going on in the world because I'm a believer of living as the person that shows up for the world that they see. Be the person and live as the change that you want to see. So I do my best each and every day. I hold space for when I screw up. Oh, those that really know me and who have been around know that I do not like apologies. I am the unapologetic mother, and I'm a firm believer that nobody needs to apologize for being human. My 7-year-old will tell you, my mom doesn't believe in apologies because I don't. You should not feel guilty and shamed and judged for making a mistake and then being able to learn from it. I have full faith and trust that that's why those things happen, is so we can learn and so we can grow. And I am not the higher power or whatever it is that flows through each and every one of us. So I don't have all the answers, but I trust, because I can look back at my life and see how every single experience has led me to be who I am today. And my journey was not always beautiful, but also was the most beautiful journey ever, considering it led me here. But there were many shadows along that path. There was sexual assault. There was being dismissed. There was being ignored, rejected, shamed, guilted, emotionally abused, neglected, and just codependency, people pleasing, you name it. That was my past. And even in that, I was strong. And I learned. And I had my kiddos. And I had all kinds of love. All kinds of people that walked into my life that wouldn't have walked into my life had I not walked the path I did. I can look back and see how my parents, being who they were, even though they were not perfect, because none of us are, they were the exact parents I needed. The lessons I got from them were the lessons that I needed for this lifetime. They made me who I am today. I'm strong and I'm independent, and I can be alone with myself, and that is a gift that not many of us have, because we're so afraid to be alone. And yet I also walked that path. I had never not had a partner because I was afraid of being alone. But yet I spent my entire childhood doing things on my own and loved it. And that's what's wild, is I knew as a kid how to live my fullest, freest life. I knew what I needed. I followed, I trusted, I had faith, and I had fun. So much happiness and joy and unconditional love and acceptance of life just being what it is. And then I was conditioned by society. That conditioning is what I've had to come to terms with and release the last 5 years. Not just my mistakes, but the conditioning of what others told me life is supposed to look like. Because the reality is nobody outside of me knows what my life is supposed to look like. I barely even know what my life is supposed to look like, because we're not supposed to know. We're just supposed to live and experience it and do the next right thing for us in each and every moment. If we have to have a plan, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and this is what I'm going to do, and we have to follow it to a T, that's not living, that's survival. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm okay with goals and like setting intentions. But if you don't allow yourself to deviate from that, when life's showing you that you need to walk this way now, that's where we get stuck. That's when we're living someone else's life and someone else's blueprint. And then we wake up 10 years later and wonder why in the hell we're so bitter and miserable and angry and not knowing up from down. And that's where we're at in the world. We've got people fighting and arguing and trying to win and like my way's right, no, my way's right. And the reality is not one person is right except for themselves. We've got parents, I used to be one, who were trying to fight for their children and saying what's best for kids. But the problem is one half of society thinks that they know what's best and the other half thinks they know what's best. But when we choose only one side, we all fucking lose. And it breaks my heart. You know, I am a person who accepts all life. And I don't believe that acceptance equals agreeance. Do I agree with every choice that my children make? No. Do I agree with every choice the people that I care about the most make? No. But I don't have to agree with them to accept them and to love them unconditionally. And remember that it's their life, not mine. And I am not here to protect everybody. I am not here to save anyone. I am here to live my fullest, freest life and let that be enough. It's what each and every one of us are here. And I keep hearing the words, you know, Jesus this and Bible that. And I'm sorry, but I've done my own research. And from what I can see, there's a whole lot of judgment that was not meant to be. If you dive deep into the essence of what that message was acceptance. Love thy neighbor, whether you understand them or not. And trust that they know what's best for their life. Don't condemn, don't judge, don't shame, don't guilt. And remember that they are the ones that are here to save themselves. It's not our job to make them do it. Jesus didn't even do that. He literally says, your faith healed you. And yet, we're sitting here telling other people what's best for their lives when nobody knows what's best for someone's life except for them. And I'm not going to argue that with anybody anymore because it's not going to get us anywhere. The arguing is not going to get us anywhere because at the end of the day, everyone is trying to be heard and they want society to understand them. But the problem is nobody's stopping and also remembering that we must first seek to understand if we want connection. If we want to truly be heard by somebody, we have to be able to first understand and hear ourselves. So that way we can hold space to hear somebody else. And it breaks my heart watching everyone fight. And it takes me right back to childhood, you know, my own things. And that's ultimately what we're here doing. Like, we're all being faced with so many activations to be able to choose deeper, to be able to choose a healthier version of living in life, and to be able to choose to heal. Your feelings are not someone else's responsibility. And I have had to really sit with that this week. I mean, I have been a firm believer for that for quite some time, but this week it's really tested me because I don't know the way. I don't know how to hold space and how to live in this world where so many people are fighting and so many people are angry and scared and they just want to live. They just want to be seen. They just want to be heard. And even today, I heard a message of, well, parental rights and like we get to choose what's best for our kids and, acting like they're possessions. And then the answer to that was that's what the Bible says they are. That the Bible says they're possessions. And I get it, but I don't at the same time. Because that wound is also my wound. I am not a possession. I am a human being. Take away the labels. I don't fucking need them. I don't need to sit here and claim anything other than I am a soul. I am a living soul on this planet. I am worthy just as I am without any of the labels. The labels are bonus and I get to choose them. And that is where so many people get stuck because they're fighting for their identities. They're fighting for what makes them feel safe. And that used to be me. My identity was mom. I am a mom and I am a wife. And if you criticized my parenting, I would fight you. Oh, I'd fight you. Because I was fighting for my identity that kept me safe. And I was going to be damn good at it and perfect at it. And you were not going to criticize me. However, that's only one side of me. And life showed me that I couldn't sit in just being a mom because there is so much more to me than that one identity. And then it took me down that journey of realizing that all of those identities are just play. They're just mirrors and versions of me that I get to walk through and choose and decide what fits and what doesn't. And I started realizing that that one identity felt like a cage. I wasn't happy being just a mom because my soul came here to be so much more. Now, don't get me wrong. Being a mother is my greatest gift. And it is what allowed me to grow. Because my children are who woke me up. They're the ones that showed me that I was not healthy. And that I needed to face my shit in order to be a better parent for them. I needed to be my fullest, freest self in order to be the best mother for them. And also, to do so meant letting go of all the attachments I had at being their mother. Because that also is a box. That's a confinement not only for me, but for them. And I was not going to hand them a life of sacrifice for love like the rest of us were handed. And that's what I see. I look around and I see people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, bitter and angry and miserable in the lives that they have chosen. And yet sitting there judging and shaming and guilting all these people who are trying to find something different for themselves, who aren't living the same way that they chose. And of course they are. Because why would they follow someone else's life story when they can already see where it led? I mean, in reality, I didn't want my children to become a version of me. I wanted them to be better than who I had become. So of course they weren't going to follow my path. But yet they also did. Because that's what we do. We follow those that we are in presence of, who care about us, who we trust, until we realize that that is not for us anymore. And then we're judged and shamed because we're not listening. We're not following that path anymore. But that path doesn't lead to a life that we want. And what's wrong with that? Why do we get so angry when our children choose something different than what we understand? Why? Why is it so terrible for children to try something new? That's the question I want to leave people with today. What is wrong with our younger generations paving new paths to see what works for them? Why is that such a threat? And if it really hurts you deep inside, remember that your feelings are your responsibility and that they are a mirror. Because I was faced with that today too, wondering why I was so heartbroken and so angry at somebody I cared about feeling differently than me. And the mirror is I was still holding judgment for the fact that I was like that. And I needed some more love, some more compassion for the fact that we all walked that path until we chose to do better. Until we chose to love deeper and more pure, and letting life go where it needs to go and trust that it knows better than our brains do, because our brains, our logic is what got us here. It's time to let our hearts lead. It is time to let our intuition allow us to heal and allow us to connect and stop fighting to be heard and start hearing yourself. Stop trying to control the masses in order to feel safe and create safety within your home, within your being, so then you can feel safe in the world around you, because that's where it starts. It's right here. Because people who feel safe within and who love themselves unconditionally do not walk around spreading hate and unkindness to those around them. They just don't. They are too busy loving the hell out of their lives to care about what other people are doing. Remember that. So if you've been feeling it, if you have just felt the grief and the rage this week, know that it's okay. And remember that it's for you. Let it out in healthy ways that serve you. Journal, cry, scream, throw your pillow, like whatever you need to do. But honor that inner child that wasn't heard, that inner teenager who was judged and shamed and ignored. and that younger teen, that young adult who didn't have anywhere safe to turn emotionally. Honor them and let those emotions flow. And trust that on the other side of this, the answers will come and your life path will show itself. And a life of fullness and a life of freedom, true freedom, and unapologetic living will come. We've got this. Much love, and until next time. Love you. I love you, friends.
Flow like rivers, wild and free. Dive into oceans that call to thee. Breathe in the wind, let it carry your name. Unapologetic living is your claim. Let the waves whisper your story bold, their rhythm eternal, their wisdom old. Echoes of dreams in the sea foam's dance. Find your truth, take the chance. The tide is rising, beckoning your soul. Crash through the doubts, make yourself whole. The world is vast and the water's deep, where courage wakes and fear's asleep. In every droplet you're alive again. With every